Hello my fellow car enthusiasts, Dr. Buff here. We have this beautiful and elegant looking Maserati here today, which we did a very mild paint correction pass on it. We also added some aftermarket paint protection on it. Customer doesn't really have time to be washing it, not so much washing it but polishing it and maintaining it, so put some aftermarket paint sealants on it just to sort of give it that ease of wash. Comes up with a nice shine all the time without fail. This car only had very mild webbing on it. It is nano ceramic technology paint, and these things don't usually clean up very easy. It takes a little bit of gusto, a little bit of aggressiveness to get into removing any damage, even in particular webbing and swirling. Holograms aren't usually an issue. They usually tend to polish out relatively easy, but when you've got webbing from washing, what can be easy to take out in 2-pack on ceramic, depending on what brand of vehicle it is, can be, well, a nightmare at times. We can end up taking some of the most severe measures in abrasives just to remove very minor webbing. C63s, a lot of the German marks, are usually very hard in paint. They do take very aggressive measures to clean them up. Even mild damage can take the most aggressive measures to clean up. This Maserati here does have ceramic paint. We didn't use actually any aggressive measures to clean this up before we actually put paint protection on it. It was just basically a very strong polish, and debunking a myth, we didn't have to use a force rotation orbital. We actually used just a very strong DA, a DA with a lot of bite, and was only a 5mm as well, not an 8 or a 21 Rupes or whatever those brands are. And we ended up removing a hell of a lot of webbing off this car just using a very strong polish and a very strong pad. We didn't even use an abrasive on it. As you can see, it doesn't come up bad at all in terms of how the roof looks. You can't really get so much onto the boot, but this car has come up rather impressive in terms of how it's cleaned up. We've done all the end detailing, the pipes and molds and what have you, and we're quite rather impressed that a black Maserati can look so beautiful just by using a very strong DA with that force rotation, just a random DA, and not even an expensive tool, believe it or not. And we've cleaned up this Maserati rather well, better than expected actually, and it just screams of gloss, depth, and again, we're using an iPhone here. I'm not very good at cameras and the car looks a hell of a lot blacker than what it does in this camera, and it'd be nice if we could catch it, but we'll take some photos, we'll post them off. We might do a send up of materials and buffs that you could use at home for the home novice, in terms of what you can use and what you can't use, or what you shouldn't use, so you can maybe maintain your own cars. And that'll be it for this Maserati. The customer that's going to pick this thing up is going to be pretty much over the moon. See you soon, guys. Hey guys, Dr. Buff here. In regards to this Maserati, we said earlier in the early video that we're going to discuss a little bit about the tool or the buff that was used to clean this particular car up. And as you can see, being a nano ceramic technology paint job, it's come up rather nice. It did have a fair bit of webbing on it. Surprisingly, this tool took it off, which debunks one major myth that you must have a force rotation orbital, which this ceramic paint job now proves you really don't. I've also experienced with this buff on previous vehicles, even on 2-pack paint jobs, that it tends to remove a lot of damage, provided you use the right speed and the right DA for it. So let's get onto it. Let's talk about the tool. Hey guys, okay. So we've cleaned up this Maserati, as you can see here. This thing's come up absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. Can't wait to see the reaction of the customer's face when he picks this up. As I mentioned before, in regards to what tools you can use on cars, in particular ceramic paint jobs, even for removing aggressive scratches, aggressive webbing, this tool kind of debunks the myth that you must have an aggressive tool. But the tool itself is not actually not aggressive. It is a very aggressive DA, and it's not anything that's that you would class as being an expensive tool. It's not a $500, $600, or $700 tool. It's actually a tool which I use as a backup tool, just in case one of my major tools fails. And I purchased it at the local Autobarn outlet, and I figured what the hell it was there. It was only $120 odd, so I just picked it up and just kept it as a backup tool. And I thought I'd just try it just today, just to see how it would go, and just sort of like get an idea of how this tool works. And it is an 8mm throw tool. It's not a force rotation tool, it's DA, but it is 8mm, and it is fairly aggressive. It does have a good strength of OPMs, and it doesn't back off very easy even when you apply pressure on it, so its cutting ability is rather tense. It cleaned up this Maserati that you see here. Didn't have any problems taking out a lot of the damage that was on it, and that's ceramic paint job, and we cleaned it up just with a very strong pad and just a strong polish. As long as it's a pure polish and not anything of filling agents, you shouldn't have a problem. So what's this magic tool? Here it is. This is it. You can see it. It's a normal, what's that say? Performance Plus DA, which you get your local Autobarn outlet, super cheap outlet. Any one of those guys will have it. Like I said, it's primarily a backup tool which I use. I just thought I'd play around with it because I was only just doing a very mild paint correction pass, just using strong polishes and strong pads on this car, and we had to apply some paint protection, sort of like just to seal off the new fresh look. And we discovered that even with a random orbital DA 8mm throw, provided it's an aggressive tool, has a lot of OPMs, doesn't back off when you apply pressure. If it does very little back off, not a lot like the little cheaper 5mm throws that you get, but this one doesn't back off very easy. And it's not really a tool that you need to press that hard on anyway, just to sort of get any cutting ability. But we found cleaning up this Maserati, we got cut off with a phone call on that last one, but yeah, as we were saying, we found cleaning up this Maserati here with this buff was relatively easy. There wasn't any struggle with it. It cleaned up relatively easy. We took a lot of the webbing off it, and we even took out some scratches, you know, pressing or buffing long enough, even just using a simple combo like a strong polish pad and a strong polish even with this machine. We tended to back off some of the scratches that were on it, so I would tend to say it was probably one of the softer types of ceramics that I've worked with, not necessarily as hard as a C63 or a 335 Beamer. But the tool itself proved quite worthy in terms of taking out a lot of the webbing and just finishing the car to a nice beautiful gloss. The pads in question can be anything depending on how hard your paint job is. We use just an orange hydro pad, Lake Country pad, and just Meg's 205 polish, and that was more than significant enough to actually remove a lot of the damage. And then we did just a pre-sealing prep just to remove any polymers or anything on the paint, and then we applied the paint protection on it. So do you need a force rotation orbital, a $700 tool to take out damage? No, you don't. Especially if you're a home novice, you don't have to go spending that sort of money. Just whiz off down to your local auto parts outlet and you should be able to find this particular buff, orbital DA, and which will actually do the job. You'll tend to find that with most car enthusiasts, a lot of their cars, they're not usually put through car washes. They're generally very clean. They don't take much to clean up in terms of putting depth of color and gloss on them. Just a good combination. Some of that is just a nice strong or a firm polishing pad, not a cutting pad, but just a nice polish pad, and just run with a paint cleaner, then maybe go over it with a pure polish afterwards, and then add your wax and your sealers, and you got a beautiful finish. And if you do it with this tool here, if you're not afraid to, you know, use a machine instead of doing it by hand, you'll be quite blown away as to what results you get. So as long as you stick to that, not go towards cutting pads or go towards aggressive compounds for cleaning paint, you shouldn't have any issues. When you stick to polishing pads and polishes, finishes are generally very good, provided you don't use a rotary buff. You stick to DAs, not a rotary. Rotaries are primarily starting tools, they're not finishing tools. You need to start with a finishing tool, you need to end with a finishing tool in this case to get the desired result. And that particular machine, this one here, Performance Plus, from your local Autobarn outlet, just with a nice strong polish pad, one for a paint clean and the second one for a polish if you like, and then add your waxes or carnubas or synthetic sealers of your choice. If you want to apply your own paint protection, long-term paint protection like we've done here, obviously you have to prep the surface before applying any paint sealers. So hope this was a handy little tip, and yeah, get to work and shine your cars and enjoy. Take it easy, guys.